Perfect. Sounds good. And I've made the presentation today specifically for hospitality management. That way, you guys have all of the information on that for IUBH. Actually, IUBH originated as a hospitality school, so that's our oldest study program. And in general, it's probably one of the coolest. Actually, we have a whole demo kitchen, etc., here on the campus, and the students there that do take hospitality have tons of fun. The professor, his name is Willy Legrand. He's part French, part Irish, I believe. And he owns a couple of restaurants in Paris and different larger cities around the world. He's such a funny guy. So, he's one of the favorite professors of the students, and they always want to write their thesis with him, etc. So perhaps you could get in touch with him too, or I could make a connection. He could also hold a webinar for you guys. That would be great. Perfect.
All right, and I think we've gone live now. So a very good afternoon to everyone who has joined us here, and we are live from the IIHM Kolkata studio, and we have some very special guests from IUBH Germany here with us today. We have Mr. Michael Johnson, who is from IUBH. He's here with us. He's the Manager of International Recruitment and Admission. We also have Shrutika Joshi, who represents IUBH in India, and of course, Mr. Geddes from Eurasia, Germany, and we have Antara from Futura campus here with us also. Thank you all very much for joining us, and our students, of course, have been very keen and very eager to know more about IUBH. Of course, we already have students studying there, but for these youngsters who are who would be graduating, if those who graduated this year and the following year, they are very eager to know about what is the process and how do we go about applying, and a little more about IUBH. So over to you, Mr. Johnson.
Perfect. Sounds good. So first of all, thank all of you guys for taking time out of your day, to attend. I think it's really wonderful with the technology we have. I know Germany, when it comes to technology, everybody was kind of freaking out that, when we did go on lockdown, the quarantine, how will all of this work? And to be quite honest, this has worked out perfectly. So I'm talking to you guys, of course, live from Germany. You guys are sitting at home, I'm assuming, also because of the current quarantine. And I just think it's wonderful that we can connect in this way. I'm sure all of you guys, the biggest question on your mind is, what is it like in Germany at this present moment? Exactly what is going on? We're living through times that haven't happened in 100 years. The last time that we had a global pandemic was the Spanish flu. To be quite honest, over these last few months, it's been quite boring. So of course, as you can probably see, I'm working from home. Safety is a huge concern of everybody at IUBH. So, we want to make sure that our students are in safety. The employees are working from home. That way we can kind of keep the virus as, low as possible. This has worked out extremely well so far. So right now, in general, per day, we have maybe around 150 to 200 new cases of the virus in Germany. Everything has reopened, so you can go outside. The cities are alive. There's people at restaurants, at different bars, etc. Basically, everything is returned to normal. For you guys who are aspiring to study, I'm sure your question then is, okay, so what about IUBH? How is your intake going to work? Are there any differences? There is, no difference at all. So we completely expect that you guys will be able to come in October. We expect the borders to be reopened. We'll have our classes on campus. We're planning for that whole entire way. Of course, however, say that something happens. I know you guys in India right now, while you guys are, reopening, the cases of viruses are exploding. And I'm very, very sorry for this. I feel quite bad for the people who are affected by this. However, should there be for any reason, border closures, or you can't make it here in time because of visa, etc., we do offer our students the option to study online, first of all. So you wouldn't miss any of your classes. You wouldn't have to defer. I know it's quite frustrating. If maybe some of you are looking at other universities, however, the university is not going to have the semester, etc. Here at IUBH, you won't have to defer. You simply start your classes online. It's the same exact classes that they're teaching on campus. You can, hold presentations. You can talk to the students on campus, to the professor. Everything is virtually the same. And then once you do receive your visa or the borders reopen, etc., you can just simply buy a plane ticket and come here. So, this is a very good alternative because, again, you don't have to waste any time for your studies. Of course, time is money, so to say. We want to make sure that you guys are, can go about your plans as best as possible. So the way that I do have a short presentation then for you guys that I can give you, I can explain what IIBH is, some facts about Germany, etc. Because we are quite a few, I suppose it would be best maybe if you write down your questions until the end, and in the end, of course, you'll have the opportunity to ask
Yes.
any
They
questions
can
you
put it in the chat box and then I can share those questions with you. So whatever questions you have, please share them in the chat box and I shall communicate your questions.
Perfect, sounds good. So I will share my screen with you guys. So you can see my screen, correct?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. Let me make us small here and I'll put us down in the corner. Alrighty. So again, I'm coming to you guys today from IIHM University of Applied Sciences in Germany. To tell you maybe a little bit, I'm sure some of you are thinking, okay, Germany is a study destination. This isn't maybe the classical place that you would go. Usually students always look towards, I don't know, UK, Australia, US, etc. However, Germany is really overlooked as a study destination. So, IUBH in specific, we are a completely English-speaking university. The classes are in English. All of the campus, the campus language is in English, all the materials in English. So I know that maybe a lot of you guys are thinking, okay, Germany would be an option for me. But what is it like to study there, especially at a German university? IUBH is, a German accredited university. However, everything is in English. So you guys growing up with English as a first or, rather second language, you wouldn't have an issue at all adjusting to the culture, adjusting to, the university or campus life. So what makes Germany a top destination when it comes to education? If we talk about the quality of education within Europe, Germany does rank as one of the highest countries in general in Europe and among the world. And when we talk about the type of university IUBH is, we are a University of Applied Sciences. So we take our name very seriously, and the key word here is applied. We want to make sure that you guys as students not only have the theoretical knowledge, so of course you will learn about theory, there will be papers. However, in the end, what really sets our students apart is the practical knowledge they gain while studying with us. So of course, when you go on later to a job interview, you have a CV and you're, competing against other students. We want you guys to have a CV that is filled with different experiences. That way, when the, employer asks, okay, do you have information about this or that? You can say, yes, I did an internship here, I had a field trip here, I shadowed this institution, etc. Because this is really, in today's society, most people have a bachelor's degree, many people have a master's degree. It's really the experience that sets you apart, and this is what we want our students at IUBH to have while they study. When we talk about the economic situation, okay, of course, we are living through very strange times, I would say. However, when we talk about the economic situation, even now in Germany, in comparison to many other European countries, we are thriving. So when it comes to, in the world ranking, we are number 4. Actually, I imagine this to go up maybe number 3, because if you look at the statistics in the US, maybe you can hear from my accent, but I'm originally from the US. Uh, the country's not doing very well, unfortunately. Sad to say about my home country. And there it's estimated around 1 in 4 people don't have a job anymore. So I imagine that, the Germany's ranking with on the world stage will actually go up a little bit once this is all said and done. So maybe you're wondering about Germans themselves. There's a lot of stereotypes about Germans, besides the typical Oktoberfest, and beer and eating a lot of sausage, etc. And these are very typical things that I'm sure you guys, associate. And I promise you, we don't always wear lederhosen and dirndl. As you can see, I'm wearing normal clothes. This is what everybody wears. Of course, when you talk about Bavaria, maybe the situation or in the smaller villages, people dress a little bit more traditionally on Sundays, possibly. However, we dress quite normal like you guys in Germany. We'll talk a little bit, of course, about the history of Germany. As you know, we have a very complicated history when it comes to foreigners, I would say. Germany learned its lesson a long time ago. So as I mentioned before, I'm originally from the US. I came to Germany about 10 years ago. I didn't have any prior German knowledge, and I can tell you I feel really at home here. So I would never really think about moving to a different country. For me, this has become home. The society is extremely open. It's quite easy to find friends. In general, Germany or Germans themselves are very used to seeing foreigners, to having foreigners here. So, you, and especially if you talk about the city of Bonn, where I live currently, around 15% of the people living here are actually not German themselves. So if you go through the city, you'll hear many different languages. A lot of people speak English, of course, German also. But in general, you wouldn't have an issue, with the society. We are very welcoming. Moving on then, maybe your guys's future goals here is to, perhaps settle within Europe, perhaps settle within Germany. Given the current situation, so to give you a bit of background information, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, the average age in Germany is around 48 years old. So, every time I land in India and I get out of the plane, what really shocks me is that you guys are all so very young. And when I return to Germany, I think, oh gosh, there's only grandmas and grandpas here. This is, it's kind of like a pensioner's home. This is actually something very good for you guys, however, and for me too, as a foreigner. Because all of these people, if they're the average age is 46, they're expected to retire within the next couple of years. So this means there is more and more job openings, and because Germans themselves only have 1.3 children per pair, this means that Germans are not having enough children to keep the population stable. This is where Germany as a country needs us, so you and I, to come to Germany to settle, in the best case scenario, get married and have children. That way the society stays complete. There's a very big social system here that every worker pays into. They need people like us to come to Germany. A side effect of this is the very lax visa laws. So when it comes to getting a student as a student visa, it really is quite easy. There are a couple of requirements. However, the biggest thing is having a letter of acceptance. If you were then to study at an accredited German university, and IUBH is fully accredited, so you would not have to worry about that. And if you were planning on going to a German university, I always please beg you, um, you know, please make sure that it is an accredited institution, because only if it is will you get the stay back visa option. So any student that graduates from IUBH will be afforded the stay back visa option, which is a 1.5-year or 18-month visa in order to find a job. We do help our students with this. We have a whole career service department that I will talk about in just a couple of minutes. But in general, these are a few things to keep in mind when you're thinking about your future plans. After 2 years working, then full-time and paying into the tax system, you will then receive permanent residency. And afterwards, if you stay in Germany for more than 8 years and fulfill a couple of other small requirements, you can already gain citizenship. So again, the pathway to citizenship here in Germany is very short. To permanent residency is very short in comparison to other countries. Again, the visa laws are very easy because they do need people like us to come to Germany. We're very I don't know, I'd say essential to the future of the country. So here's just a couple of small information regarding other countries within Europe. Germany is right now the most attractive study destination within Europe. Here you can see the United Kingdom is still included. This is from 2018 before Brexit. However, you can imagine that with the entire tumult going around here in the UK, Germany's position here in this ranking has only increased. This is due to not only the cost. So of course, when you talk about the prices of Germany in comparison to other the European countries, it is quite a bit cheaper. Not only that, but the standard of education is higher, and your future life and career, the opportunities you have later after graduation, is also a lot higher than other countries here in Europe. So as I just mentioned, the local purchasing power here you'll see on this chart. We will take Berlin as a constant. So Berlin here is in blue, and here's the local purchasing power of Toronto and London. As you can see here in Berlin, it is much higher. Grocery prices are lower, rent is a lot lower, and consumer prices in general are lower. So when we talk about tuition fees, etc., not only will you save on tuition fees because here, IUBH is quite a bit cheaper than the normal US, Canadian, UK university, Australia, but you also save money on groceries, on all-day costs, on rent, etc. Finally, just to talk a little bit about how many international students are currently studying in Germany and what their plans are afterwards. As of 2018, again, we had 374,951 international students. That makes up a total of 13% of all students in Germany, which means, more than 1 in 10 students are not German. So as I talked a little bit about before about the welcoming atmosphere, again, Germans themselves, students, etc., are very used to having, people from other countries here. We have a very international atmosphere. You wouldn't have any issues adjusting. When it comes then to what happens to the students after they graduate, 69.2% of them decide to stay in Germany. So myself included, I would be here in the statistic. The majority of students that come to Germany actually stay in Germany. 14.3% of them then decide that they would, like to stay in Germany, that they would like to maybe stay in Europe, or they look for jobs elsewhere, whereas 16.5% only decide then to go back to their home country. So now I'll talk a little bit about the difference between universities here. So I'm sure as you're aware, IUBH is a University of Applied Sciences, and you're kind of wondering, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean? What is the difference between a typical Universität, so the word for university in Germany, and a Hochschule, which is the word for University of Applied Sciences. When we talk about a Universität or a normal university, this is the very traditional version here in Germany. This is more, I would say their practices are more on theory. It's more about sitting and, actually reading books. And of course, you have to read quite a bit at IUBH to learn about theory. However, it's not as practical oriented. So while this does have a very large tradition, the first university, the University of Heidelberg, was founded in 1386. In general, these are the universities that you would go to when you want to study humanities, etc. When we talk about Fachhochschulen or University of Applied Sciences, these are the more modern and innovative types of universities. So here again, we want our students, especially at IUBH, to have a practical approach. We want you to have, on-the-job training while you are actually studying, etc. And these are universities where more business-oriented, maybe we'll talk about medicine, economics, management, etc. These students who would like to have a degree in these areas would go to. So I talked a lot about Germany, I talked a lot about universities. What about IUBH? That's why we're of course here today. So to tell you a little bit about our history of IUBH, we're a relatively young university, only founded in 1998. However, since then we have become the largest private university in Germany. During the Corona, crisis, actually, our entire, student number has increased, quite a bit. I can't really tell you. We're trying to figure out actually how many new students came. However, during these times, a lot of people decide to go back to renowned schools. So we're, living through a very, very large increase in students at the moment. However, when the presentation was made before the crisis, we were looking at around 20,000 students. In total, we have over 3,500 business partners, which is an extremely important fact because we are able to let you connect to these business partners. We are very well known within the business community, which makes finding employment later quite easy. For you guys, then, it would be important to know that you would be going to one of our two campuses. We have one here in Berlin, which is, of course, the capital of Germany, and one here in Bad Honnef, which is located near the larger cities of Bonn and Cologne. I personally, I'm living in Bonn, so I'm in Bonn right now, and I travel then to work every day. It takes by train maybe 15 minutes. The city of Cologne is about a half an hour to 45 minutes away by train. So again, depending on the campus that you choose, they're both relatively the same. Of course, Berlin is very international as the capital. However, Bad Honnef, you can always study in a very peaceful environment and then take the train simply to the larger city of Bonn or Cologne. So as I mentioned before, we have over 3,500 business partners. How does this help you? One motto of IUBH and something that, to tell you a bit about myself and my personal background is I went to a public university where we did not have a career service department. So this is really something I find very wonderful for the students, especially being a foreign student or an international student. There's a lot of things that, not growing up in Germany that you just don't know. So when I graduated from the University of Bonn, they said, okay, great, here's your diploma, go find a job. Okay, but how? What's important to know? How does the application process work? What does a CV in Germany look like? These are all things that I didn't know previously, that here the Career Service Department at IUBH helps you to learn. That way you don't waste any time trying to research, trying to, fill out applications, sending in documents that look strange. For example, in the United States, you never include a picture on your CV. In Germany, if you don't include a picture of yourself on your CV, the chances that you will be invited to an interview are very, very low. So for example, it took me a very long time to learn all of this. So this you would learn then through, different workshops within career preparation, application trainings. We have Career Day on campus, so we invite around 250, 300 different companies to our campuses, where a lot of our students will actually have their interviews, they bring their profile, etc., and a lot of them are actually hired on the spot at these days. So again, one of the mottos at IUBH is, why would you study if you can't find a job later? We want to make sure that our students go on to have successful careers later on. Again, we help you guys with this, and almost 95% of our students do have a job within 6 months. The average for about 3 months is almost 90%. So again, this is where we're extremely active, and we want you guys to be able to find employment as quickly as possible, in these different companies. That way, you go on to be happy. It's good for our reputation. It's kind of a mutual relationship. As I mentioned before, you will receive the 18-month stay-back visa option if you graduate from IUBH. So here you have 1.5 years in order to do so. And it's important to know that you always have access to the career service department. So whether you graduate and you work for, a company for 5 years and you say, okay, this was nice, but I'd like to change, please, we love when our alumni come back. We want to help you, grow further. Simply visit us at the career service department afterwards, and we'd be more than happy to help you find another job. Moving on, our teaching, as I mentioned before, has more of a practical approach. So we want you guys to have field trips. We want to make sure you do internships. We want to make sure that you get as much experience as possible. That way, when you are going to these different interviews, you can talk about all these experiences that you had previously had. And again, this is what really sets our students apart, because, as I mentioned before, many students, the majority of students, go on to do a bachelor's degree, some even a master's. In general, the experience that you gain during studies is what sets you apart as an attractive employee, in comparison to the others. We are in very, very many rankings. We were actually just deemed the top business school for 2020. So if you'd like to look at any of our rankings, all of the awards that we have, you can easily visit the website. Finally, as I mentioned before, all of our courses are taught in English, so you wouldn't have any trouble adjusting to the, language here on campus. However, a big question you probably have is, how important is German? So here, coming from the hospitality industry, for you guys, I would really suggest, having a B1 to B2 language level by the time that you graduate. Of course, if you do work in very large companies, depending on where you do decide to work, hospitality is huge, all the way from, of course, the typical hotels, all the way to, I don't know, let's say cruise ships, to, hospitals. Hospitals, nobody thinks about them as being a hospitality industry, but of course, patients need to be taken care of. That's also hospitality. Travel agencies, etc. All of these places need people to, who know the hospitality industry very well, who know management in hospitality very well. So when it comes to these, I would really suggest taking, our free German classes. We do offer our students the free German classes on the side, taking them and achieving around a B1 level before the time you graduate. So you really just have to sign up for these classes. It's quite easy, and as long as you're studious, you of course can make to the B1 level by the time that you graduate. Finally, just a couple of small things. When you do apply to IUBH, of course, then you would be designated a personal study advisor. So I do also work as a study advisor here at IUBH, and this is really great because you already know then somebody here in Germany, you know somebody on campus. This person is there for you for all your questions, queries, doubts. A lot of the times I will meet my students after they come on campus, and we're really good friends now. We go shopping on the weekends, etc. So this way you're actually not even alone when you arrive. So maybe you're fearful that, okay, I'll be alone in this foreign country. I don't know, I don't know anybody. I won't have any friends. This way you already get to know somebody before you arrive. We also have a very quick application process. So I'm sure that, if you're looking at other universities, in general, you takes about 6 to 8 weeks if you even hear, maybe even longer to hear from them. We have a rule that you must hear from us within 2 days. So again, we want to make sure that you guys are updated as quickly as possible. Furthermore, our class sizes. So, one thing that always shocks me about India too when I land is there are so many people. It's really overwhelming. And, when you go to the bazaar in Mumbai and Kolkata and all these different cities, and there's just people and people, I honestly don't know how you guys get lost. I always have someone help me because I would get lost immediately. At IUBH, we want to make sure we have small class sizes. So this way you have kind of an intimate atmosphere with the professor, with other students. You can ask questions. The professor has time to actually spend more time with you personally. Perhaps you're struggling with this or that. He can actually take time out of class to explain these different things to you. And it's a lot more comfortable than sitting in, a classroom with 500 different people where the professor just talks and then you go home afterwards. Another big thing you might be worrying about is accommodation. I don't know how to find an apartment. What is it like to, live in Germany? How do I do all of this? We do have accommodation on campus in Bad Honnef. You just simply have to apply. When it comes to Berlin, we have an entire, assistance that helps you to find a place to live before you arrive. So I will now talk a little bit about our locations. Here you can see the picture of our Bad Honnef campus. This is just one of the buildings. We have about 6 or 7 buildings here. This here is actually the wood block in front is a restaurant that is run by students. To the right, we have the cafeteria. Right behind that, there's student housing. To the left, there's the auditorium. So we are a campus university. You can always be from one place to the other within a minute. So it's always, time saving. If you do stay on campus, you can roll out of bed, put on some clothes, and then be in your classroom within a couple of minutes. So it's very convenient for all of the students. These are the programs that we offer on campus. So again, for you guys, it would be most interesting to, or as a, coming from a hospitality background, we do have hospitality management in the BA, also in the MA, and we also have hospitality specializations in an MBA. The duration, of course, is dependent on which program that you choose. And this year, the intake is actually starting in October. So I know, given the current situation, you guys might need a little bit more time for visa to organize things before you to actually come in Germany. So both our Berlin and Bad Honnef campuses will start in October. Moving on, I'm sure that you guys know quite a bit about Berlin being the capital. To tell you a little bit about, our Bad Honnef campus, which is located, actually, we call this our Bonn campus, basically. It is located in North Rhine-Westphalia. This is the most populous state in Germany. Another thing that always surprises me about India, when I go, from example, from Calcutta to Mumbai or from Calcutta to Cochin, is how big India is. Here in Germany, you take an airplane and you're already maybe 2 countries away. Here, in India, if you take an airplane and you're flying for an hour, you're still in the same state. So in general, here you can see that Bad Honnef is located in North Rhine-Westphalia, the most populous state. We have an insane amount of cities, very, very large cities here, which makes it very good for job searching. So you wouldn't really have to move far. There's tons of jobs available in different, cities within the state. And again, we do have the accommodation on campus. So you have all of these facilities and you wouldn't really have to worry about, finding and doing all of this yourself. Another thing, maybe you're a little bit hesitant about finding friends, etc. You can kind of also think of us as more of an American university, which is kind of a reason why I feel so at home there. We have a lot of sports clubs, we have a lot of societies. Studying is one thing, of course, we want you to study hard. We want to make sure that you guys have a really great degree in the end. However, you only study once in life, so we want you guys to enjoy your time. We want you to really, be able to experience university life. And through all of these different things here, there's just one way that you can do it. Our actually, what would you call this? Our motto or our mascot at IUBH is a dragon because the area around the Bad Honnef campus is known for its fairy tales. There's this very, very popular fairy tale here involving a dragon. So we are the IUBH dragons. We want you guys to be proud that you study at IUBH. So again, we want you to enjoy your time as much as possible while you are studying, and this is just one way you can do that. Moving on to our campus in Berlin, we actually just bought a new campus. It used to be a hotel. We renovated it. It's a very, very large building. The bottom, there's actually a mall, so there's different restaurants, shops, etc. And all of the classrooms are located above that. Here we, of course, also offer hospitality management for the MA students. Again, here the intake will start in October. Our students here will have access to the libraries, the computer labs, etc., of all of the public universities, as well as we also have different services such as the buddy program, the accommodation office, etc., and we also here have clubs and societies. So now I will go shortly into hospitality management and the study programs here. So we'll talk about the bachelor's. When we talk about the focus group really here, are you guys more interested in, bachelor, master, MBA? What would you say is your area of interest mostly? All of them? Okay, then I'll just go quickly through all of them. So again here, when it comes to hospitality management in the bachelor's, you will always have the option to take certain electives. So here it's really a specialization given your interests. Sustainable tourism, for example, is one of them. Hospitality and events, distribution and sales. So again, when we talk about, in general, hospitality management, many people think of just hotels, making beds all day. Hospitality is so much bigger than that. Marketing, HR, destination management, all of these different things are options for you guys. When it comes again to study abroad, we actually have hospitality management is very special because we have two different options for you guys. So we do offer a dual degree program, and the dual
We were
degree.
primarily looking at the master's program. Sorry, I was muted over
Ah,
there.
no, please, please. I'm glad to that you interrupt. That way, I can
We can
focus on
go
what the
ahead with
interest.
this, not a problem. We can go ahead and continue, and then we can move ahead with the master's. That's all right.
Perfect. Sounds good. So we'll go here then with the master's program. It's basically very, very similar to the bachelor's. Of course, the students there can choose between international management, so our MIM. So this is the hospitality management plus, the management. The hospitality plus international management, which gives the students really a big background within the management field. And as I mentioned before, we also have the MBA here specialization. So the students, depending on their background, can choose either of these. Again, in all of our different areas, they will have the same exact electives. They can choose their specialization just as they can in the bachelor's. As I mentioned before, in general, hospitality is a very, very big industry. So we give you guys the option at IUBH to specialize in a certain area. Perhaps you're not even sure which area you want to specialize in. Of course, we have counselors that help you with this. Looking at the future, looking at in general the globalization of the world. OYO, for example, this is a company that is based there in India. Their OYO is looking to expand into Germany, so they will need people who can also, know the culture of Germany, who know, can basically act as the middleman between Germany and India. So when it comes to hospitality, there are really countless things that you could work into. Again, when we talk about the intake, all of them will be starting within the October. We want to make sure that you guys have enough time to prepare. So when we talk about, again, as I mentioned before, we are a private university, so we do have tuition fees. What are the options for, financing? What are the options for you guys to receive discounts and scholarships, etc.? We do have the early bird deposit here. So when it comes to, receiving your offer letter, making the deposit, you can receive already 1,000 euros off on your deposit as long as the payment is made within 4 weeks of receiving the offer letter. Actually, right now, due to the current situation, I know that financially some of you may be struggling. We are offering on a case-by-case basis a 2,500 euro discount. So again, there are more options for you guys to save money on the tuition fees. Also, when it comes to, for example, say you would like to actually take a German course at the beginning, etc., we have the pre-master and pre-studies programs. You could also come for this. These are completely free of cost. You can just simply tell us you would like to partake in these different areas, and we'd be more than happy to help, organize all of this. And again, it is completely free. So you can also learn German. As I mentioned, for the hospitality industry, it is quite a bit important to have some type of German knowledge. Here you can easily do that. Moving on, then we do have various scholarships. So here, for example, we have the Superior Scholarship for high performing students. You will then talk to your study advisor about all of these. Here the criteria is, of course, always in the German grading scale. So whenever a student applies, we have to translate their transcripts into the German scale. So here we have the Superior Scholarship for high performing students, Engagement Scholarship for students who have a track record in charities and social and community engagement. For example, we had a student from Mumbai who would, help to clean up the beaches. There was a lot of plastic on quite a few of the beaches there, so we helped clean it up. You make a presentation about this, and then the student can receive a scholarship for that. Again, here the scholarships range between 1,500 to 2,500 euros, depending the student's eligibility. Here we have the entrepreneur scholarship. So say, coming from the hospitality industry, you would like to ground your own business, you would like to create, or you have maybe an innovative idea, you would just send us a PowerPoint and we could be, would be more than happy to look at that, and maybe you would be available or eligible for a scholarship in this area. Perfect. So again, there are more than enough opportunities to receive scholarships. You can always discuss this with your personal study advisor. We had talked a little bit about the application before. So how does an application work with IUBH? And here's, of course, where Ms. Schutika comes into place, of course, and here all the counselors or the directors here at IIHM. So, of course, we are in constant contact. You can contact any of us if you want further information. I'll give you guys my email. I'll give you Schutika's email. That way you can contact us in case of questions, queries, and doubts. The first step is that Shutika or one of the counselors at IIMH would upload the application. As we had mentioned before, there are already students studying there, so they are very familiar with the whole process. The application is uploaded, and you would hear back from us within 2 days. So of course, as I mentioned before, we want to make sure we're as quick as possible when it comes to the application process. We do require some documents here, so the academic transcripts, valid IELTS, CV, passport copy, and if you are interested in the MBA program, we would need a minimum of 1 year work experience. We would then invite students to the admission interview. So here you really don't have to be nervous. It's really just a conversation between us, the study advisors, and you. This gives us an opportunity to meet you, and you can also meet us as a study advisor. You can ask us any questions you would like. Um, for example, just to give you, kind of an idea of how this works, I'll ask my students about their educational background, their plans for the future. Again, I don't want it to be too formal, because as I said, I'm friends with a lot of my students now. And I always ask them, for example, about Indian food. Indian food is amazing. To be quite honest, you guys are a little bit crazy for going abroad, because I would love to move to India just for you guys' food. It really is one of my favorite parts. Masala chai, for example, I make sure to import masala chai to Germany because this is amazing. So I always ask my students, what is their favorite food? What is their favorite movie, etc. So I want to get to know you guys on a personal level. Once the admission interview is conducted, and you do pass the admission interview, you will receive your offer letter. Here again, you have the option to have the early bird discount. So as long as the offer letter payment is made within 4 weeks, you would then benefit from this. Once we can confirm the payment, your study place is reserved. We will then help you with your visa appointment. So again, going to the embassy is probably something that you guys might be a little bit scared about, the interview. We want to make sure that you're prepared as much as possible. We will have a mock interview. We will talk to you guys about, what they might ask. We will, have this, fake interview. That way you're extremely prepared. And we will continue to train you within this, range until we are positive that you will receive your visa. Again, this is very important because we do hear some weird answers once in a while. We want to make sure you guys are prepared for all of these different formalities. Once you then receive your letter of admission and your tuition contract, then you can already, make your visa appointment. I know at the moment the visas in Germany are closed, or sorry, the embassies in Germany are closed. I have heard that some of, the embassies are giving appointments for July at the earliest. However, I'm staying informed about that. So my best advice to you is please apply as soon as possible. That way you can kind of expedite the process. That way, you get an appointment as soon as possible. Finally, once you do receive your visa, you can already start your studies and come to Germany. As I mentioned before, should you not be able to receive your visa in time, that's completely okay. We do offer you guys the option to study online. You simply, take all of these classes. It's the same exact classes that we are holding on campus. And say you receive your visa in November on a Thursday, you can book your flight for a Friday and already be in class on Monday. This way you don't have to defer, you don't waste any time. It's really a good option for students, for you guys who don't want to, wait for all of this whole situation to clear up. So you made it here to Germany. What happens then? So at IUBH, we have an orientation week. Again, we understand, as I mentioned before, we are an extremely international university. Over 95% of our students are from different countries. We understand that it will take a little bit for you guys to adjust. So we want to make sure that this adjustment period is slow, and we help you with this. We have a whole international office dedicated to helping with all of these formalities. The orientation week is supposed to be fun. You'll have presentations on Germany, about the city, that you'll be living in. You'll have different events with current students, etc. You'll have a tour of the city. So again, these are different things that we want to make sure that you guys as students are, slowly familiarized with the culture, with the city, with the language, etc. During which you will have the enrollment on campus. You will also register at the foreigners office within the first 90 days. This is done by the international office, so this is a group thing. Again, from the beginning, the application process, all the way to when you arrive, to during your studies, to when you graduate at the career service department, we help you all along the way. You will then receive your student residence permit, which is valid for the duration of your studies. A question that I get very often is, can I work during my studies? And the answer is definitely yes. So I know that you guys are more interested in the master studies program. As master students, you can work up to 20 hours a week with your student visa. There's a thing in Germany actually called a mini job, where you earn around 450 euros a month. So these 450 euros usually covers the cost of rent, maybe some groceries or insurance. Again, it is more than possible to work during your studies. Again, so you then would graduate from IUBH. Here you have your post-graduation residence permit. And again, this time is where the career service office comes into play. So they will help to make connections between you and possible employers, between you and different companies, etc. Again, almost 95% of our students do have a job within 6 months. So this is something that's very important to us, that you guys go on again to find a job very quickly. And after working here in Germany within 2 years, you can already receive PR. To give you my personal experience on this, when I had graduated, I simply went to the Foreigners Authority. I showed them my degree. It took me 2 weeks to get the stay back visa option, the postgraduate visa option. And now in February, I will be at IUBH within 2 years. I'm planning on making an appointment, and then I will already have permanent residency. So again, this is a very quick process. When you do have permanent residency, you benefit from all of the social systems in Germany. You are basically like a citizen. The only thing that you can't do is vote in elections, but that's about it. So you can stay in Germany as long as you want. There's really no conditions to it. It's basically like citizenship. Should you want to be a citizen again, of course, you can just stay in the country for 8 years. You'll have to, complete a couple of other tasks. There's, a German language test up to only the B1 level. And as hospitality management students, of course, as I said, having a B1 language level is important. You could already then have the skills, and after being here for 8 years, you can easily gain citizenship if you like. So finally, where do our students end up? So here on this slide, you will see all of the different companies where our students end up working. And as I mentioned before, the hospitality industry is huge. It is giant. So when we talk about, for example, Lufthansa, not many people think of, Lufthansa as a hospitality industry. This is more engineering, IT, whichever. Of course, Lufthansa needs to feed the passengers. They have to organize events, etc. The workers also need to, be fed, etc. They have giant, contracts with different hospitality management areas. So this would be an option for you. There's Pepsi, there's L'Oreal. Allianz is a very large insurance company here, for example, and they also have many people there working in the hospitality industry within their company. Hilton, Marriott, etc. And as I mentioned before, IUBH is actually founded on hospitality. So this is our oldest study program, probably our best study program, to be quite honest. Our professors here are really renowned throughout the world. The director of the hospitality management, course, his name is Willy Legrand. He has quite a few very successful restaurants all around Europe. So again, and he's a very cool guy. He loves to hear from students, talk to him personally. In general here, as I mentioned before, You know, the opportunities in this area are, you know, unlimited. I'd also, you know, if you guys would like to, I'd like to make you aware that coming up on Saturday, we actually have an open campus day where you can talk to the professors themselves. You just have to register online. So here I will also give the same presentation to all of the students then at the beginning. And afterwards, you will have the opportunity to go into different rooms. Basically, it's also held over Zoom. There, the hospitality management professor will be there. He will hold a presentation. He will talk to all of the students. So if you'd like, you could just simply, you know, search Open Campus Day IUBH. You can sign up for it, and then you can also talk to the professor directly if you'd like. So I know I talked a lot. Thank you guys so much for your attention. I'd be more than happy to take any questions that you might have.
Yes, so we do have. Thank you so much. Firstly, that was very, very exhaustive, and thank you so much for sharing the details. If you can share the presentation with me, then I can share it with all our campuses. We do have the directors from the different campuses here with us today. Our Bangalore campus, we have Sanchari, we have Rupinder, and the entire team is here.
I can see we've grown to 82.
Nice.
Definitely. So yeah, thank you guys. I see we've grown
already. We can share it with all the students all across India, even those who are possibly watching us on Facebook right now.
Perfect. That sounds good. Actually, I will.
One of the questions.
Oh, I think I lost you for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can hear you again.
Yes, okay. So our students get a degree from the University of West London. Do they still need to, as this is an English program, do they still need to complete the IELTS exam? Is that still required?
Exactly. So it is still required for admission to IUBH. So we would have to have our students, you know, it really, I suppose we could do this on a case-by-case basis, but in general, yes, the students would have to have the IELTS. When we talk about different options, as I know that the IELTS offices are closed at the moment, it's very hard to get an appointment, and when they do reopen, there will be very, very many people waiting. We do also accept Duolingo. So this is an extremely good option that's very cheap. It costs $49 US. You receive your results within 2 days. So I have students who I've told about this. They signed up, you know, within the hour, and they could already give me their results 3 days later. Here we need a minimum of 105. However, in general, when you do receive, we would unfortunately need an IELTS or a Duolingo, a TOEFL exam, even though the degree is from West London. Perfect. I think.
Okay. Does Duolingo make it more difficult to get a visa? Would there be any problem with the visa if they were to do the Duolingo rather than?
There is no problem
for IELTS?
Exactly. No, not at all. So basically, the most important thing when you do go to your visa exam or to your visa appointment is that you do have a letter of acceptance. This is really the most important document that you could have, along with the blocked account. And of course your language exam. However, when it comes to the requirements in general, it does not matter whether it's Duolingo, IELTS, TOEFL, as long as you have a German letter of acceptance, this is usually accepted. I can talk a little bit about visa rejections actually. We have only had one visa rejection this year. This was from a student in Cochin, and the only reason it was rejected was because unfortunately on the student's letter of acceptance, the birth date was wrong. So this was a mistake by our side. We gave him a new letter of acceptance. He went the next day and he got his visa. So again, we virtually have 0 visa rejections. You wouldn't have to worry about this. As I mentioned, Germany is extremely lax about this because they need people like you and I as foreigners to come to the country. You know, in general, it's very easy to get a visa and rejections are almost unheard of. So we actually do have a lot of students who wanted to go to the UK, Canada, etc., that receive rejections from these embassies. They come to us and then they end up studying here. So again, it's quite easy. Our system is very lax. And you know, all the documents that you would need for your visa appointment will be then provided by us. Perfect.
Okay. The pre-masters course that you mentioned about the pre-masters over here. What is the cost involved? Would it be free of cost, or is there any additional cost for that?
Exactly. It is completely free of cost as long as the students go to 80% of the classes. So it's just, you know, this is bound by attendance. which of course, if you're going to study, going to classes is just how, that's the most important part of studying. So it is completely free of cost. Here you will have, English classes, German classes, math classes. This is just, basically a preparation course. This is not only for students who would like to have kind of a preparation before starting their actual program, but also for students who don't receive their visa on time. You do have the option to study online. You don't have to defer your studies. However, if you say, okay, I don't really want to, I'm not interested in this option, I'd rather do the pre-program course. This is a way for you to legally come to Germany, to live in Germany, stay in Germany while studying, and then you just join the normal intake, your normal study program afterwards.
So it's meant only for those who have a visa problem, who are probably there's a delay in getting the visas. Is it primarily for them?
So this is primarily for them. However, you can willingly also do the pre-studies, pre-master program. It's completely up to you. So we always offer this to our students. If you'd like to do it, then that's great. It's completely up to you.
Okay. Also, if we have a candidate, an applicant who has scored, say, 7.5 in the IELTS exam, is he then entitled for a scholarship?
Right, exactly. So 7.5, you would definitely be eligible for a scholarship. As I mentioned before on the one slide, we have quite a few different ones. 7.5 is definitely accepted. I believe 6.5 is the limit. It also depends on your current bachelor leaving certificate. So you'd have to also have a certain percentage. There's also one more scholarship that I had forgotten to mention. This is actually not a scholarship by IIHM, but the state of Germany that our students can apply to. This is called the Deutschlandstipendium, so the German scholarship. Here, the students would then apply with a 7.5. They could definitely apply. I believe they need around 65 to 70%. It's a case-by-case basis. The study advisor will inform you of this, and this scholarship is basically 300 euros a month for your entire study duration. So this is limited first for 1 year. After this 1 year, the German government will then go back and look and see what your CGPA is. As long as it is a 3.0 in the German grading scale or higher, you will then continue to receive these 300 euros a month. So again, this is also another option to finance your studies, of course. This is a very great option. I wish I had taken advantage of this when I was studying. So we always inform you guys as students during the admission interview of what scholarship options you have. You can always inquire about this. Again, we want to make sure it's as affordable as possible. You can also work during your studies, as mentioned before. So there's definitely many, many options in order to finance your studies.
Lovely. Thank you. And we have a student here requesting once again, if you could share the fee structure, the total cost of the master's program.
Exactly. Gladly. Let me open that really quick on the slide. It will take me 1 second. So when it comes to the fee structure, students have a few various options here. That'll be here. Okay. Can you see my screen, hopefully?
Yes. Yes, now we can.
Perfect. So here, there's a few various options. Again, this is dependent on the type of master's program that you choose, whether that's an MBA, a 2-year master's, or a 1-year master program. Here, again, this is per year. So when we talk about, in general, we'll go with the 2-year master's program. It would be 13,990 per year, plus, of course, the living costs. And to be quite honest, I don't agree with these living costs. We always tell the students, of course, Germany can be expensive. This is extremely expensive. However, as a student, I honestly didn't pay more than 550 euros a month, including rent, insurance, and groceries. This is the per year cost. Students will have the option to either pay per year or per semester. So again, this is an option that you guys can choose yourself. You can look at your finances and say whatever benefits you the most. Within the study contract, you will have the option to choose between the year and the semester payment.
So this cost that we're talking about, the enrollment fee, that also includes the student pass and the insurance, and everything is included here?
Exactly. So we do have, I can go to the next slide there. Exactly. The next, the extra fees, basically this covers the public transportation fees. That covers the student union fee in Berlin, for example. As I mentioned before, students in Berlin will have access to the public library, to the cafeteria, etc. All of these are included within that, and that way the students, will be able to access all of these areas.
Right. Right.
Perfect.
Perfect. And I think I don't see any other questions coming up right now.
Perfect.
So, okay. So yes. And is there any fixed deposit that they have to show, like a blocked account? What is the amount that they need to show for that?
Exactly. So when it comes to the blocked account, this is a requirement by the German government. It ranges, I think it's right now at the moment, 10,220 euros around this area. That they have to bring to the embassy. This is basically to prove the financial stability of the student. So how this works, we do this over an online website called Fintiba. You would open this account with Fintiba. You would deposit the money into there. They will give you a thing for the German embassy. You bring this there. Once you're in Germany, you open a normal German bank account. Then this amount of around 880 euros is deposited each month into the bank account here in Germany. That way, you will have this money on a monthly basis for your rent, for all of your costs, etc. As I mentioned before, as a student, I paid no more than 550 euros. So this is actually quite a bit of money. You probably wouldn't be able to spend all of that. So you would have money extra in the, most cases.
And as you also mentioned, if they work 20 hours a week, they would be, in all probability, be able to cover their living expenses.
Exactly. So again, with this mini job, you would be more than able to, earn money on the side. A lot of our students also tutor on the side. There's more than enough options then for students to also earn money. What I also have here, I'm not sure if this was shared around you guys, but here's a specific brochure actually. It's called Why Hospitality Matters. And this kind of gives you a general overview from IUBH students. So here you can see after the forward, there will be an interview with a student who studied IUBH, where they are now, how much they earn in their current job, how they got to their current job, etc. This, of course, was also sent across previously. This will give you a good idea of where our students end up, how they did this, etc. That way, you have more of a better idea of where you could end up after studying at IUBH. Perfect.
The accommodation, I think we have a question on accommodation, which you said is provided in Bad Honnef, but not in Berlin. This assistance would be provided.
Exactly. So we do have different contracts with private accommodation offices. So you can stay at one of these. You would have to then apply, of course, just like in Bad Honnef. However, in Berlin, we also again have the entire private accommodation office that helps our students find a place to live before they arrive. That's correct.
You have a vineyard, if I recall, there's a vineyard attached to one of the campuses. I think the one in Bad Honnef.
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually one of the first times that a student had talked about this. We do have a vineyard, so vineyard. It is at the Bad Honnef campus, so the students are taught how to make wine themselves. They actually have an entire class dedicated to wine, so which wine is good with this type of food, etc. So this would definitely be an option for you guys that are interested in this, studying about the hospitality industry in this area.
And is there any option for students to do an internship while they're studying, while they're doing the masters?
Definitely. So, when it comes to the masters, we don't require an internship, but there are more than enough options. To give you the structure of how German universities work, is that you will have classes ongoing for about 2.5 to 3 months, and then you have something called the semester break or the Semesterferien, where you utilize this to write papers, etc., where you do not have classes. So most students will then not work either during their semester. However, during the semester break, this lasts about 2 months, usually 2 to 2.5 months. Our students will then work during this time period. And here again, they have this option to do this mini job, and they can work during that time.
Right. Any other special projects or any specific strips that the students need to take while they're undergoing this course?
Right. So of course, as is normal with every single study program, at the end of your program, you will have to write a capstone project. You have a capstone project or a thesis. How this works in Germany basically is that you choose a professor yourself. So perhaps you have a professor that you like very much. You would go to them and say you'd like to write your master's thesis with them. They will help guide you throughout the entire process. And in the end, this is the person that also grades your master thesis. Personally, for me, it depends on the subject that you choose, the professor. This ranges between 60 to 90 pages. Again, you will have tons of support, and the entire last semester of your studies is dedicated really only to this thesis. So again, there will be a couple of projects that you will have to do. You will have to write papers during the semester break. However, we guide you along the way. The professor guides you along the way. You don't have to be scared about this. You will have support classes and training on how to do all of this during your studies.
Okay. So students can apply for this directly after graduation. There's no work experience required. So we have a couple of questions coming up saying that is work experience required
in order to apply for the master's?
Yes, because students anyways do train for 6 months in the industry. That's part of our curriculum. So in addition to that, post their graduation, do they need to work for a year? Can they apply for?
So for the MA program, they can apply. You guys can apply directly for the MA. That's not an issue at all. I can actually stop so you can see my face there. That's not an issue at all. You can easily just apply for the MA. We do not require any work experience. The fact that it is part of your curriculum is actually great because here at IUBH, the bachelor students here are also required to do a 6-month internship. And we love to have students like you guys. So not only, I'm sure you didn't do your internship all at the same place. It's really great not only for our professors, but our fellow students coming from all over the world, that you can bring your own personal experience into the classroom. You can bring your own personal perspective. So this is a very great asset. Please write this on your CV when you do apply. That way we know, what your background is. It's not required, however, for the MA. When we talk about the MBA, we do require 1 year full-time work experience. So say you have, some type of, maybe you extended your internship, for example, or you did work full-time in some area before studying your bachelor's, etc., or afterwards, then you can always, apply for the MBA in that area.
Right. Do the students need to have any knowledge of German before they join? Do you recommend they do the A1 or the A2 level before they come to Germany?
Right. We do not require any previous German knowledge at all. So again, IUBH is a completely English-speaking university. For us, it is not important, but we do, of course, offer you the free German classes. And coming into the hospitality industry, where you will most likely be working, if you do decide to stay in Germany, with a lot of, German customers, German business partners, etc., we always suggest you guys then to please, take advantage of the free German classes. That way you are prepared for the job field after you graduate.
Okay. We have a question from a student who has graduated from the UK board, as in her school, her high school was with, was under the Cambridge board, the UK Cambridge board. So she's completed her A levels, AS and her A levels. So she feels that does she still need to appear for IELTS?
So this is a very special case, yes. Students who graduate from the Cambridge board with their A levels can actually receive a waiver. So we will conduct the admission interview with you guys, with the students that have this. And then if their English, which in the majority of cases is, the study advisor determines that they can receive a waiver, that would be applicable, definitely. To give you kind of an idea of the requirements then for IELTS, Duolingo, etc., for an IELTS to go directly into the master's program, we would need a 6.0. And when it comes to Duolingo, the equivalent of that is a 105.
Okay, that would be, I think that's more or less, that's what we have for the questions. Should there be any other question, ladies and gentlemen, please post them here. We do have a few students who seem to have missed in the middle, who joined later, so I shall share the presentation once you send it across to me. I'll share it with all of them. Perfect. And I don't see any other questions coming up right now. Yeah, well, I think that's about it. And well, thank you very much, Michael. And Sanchari, Rupinder, do you have any questions, Samir? Any questions that you'd like to ask?
About you guys and your institute and everything. Actually, what I read a little bit, of course, about it, I know that in the past, I believe Diego had met with you with Florian Hummel, correct?
I beg your pardon, I didn't get you there.
Whether you have met Diego, possibly, when he had worked at IIBH, or was everything instituted by Mr. Florian Hummel? When it comes to the...
I can't seem to hear your voice breaking here.
Maybe let me redo that. Okay, that's okay. What about now?
Yes, I think slightly better, yes.
Okay, well, no, my question was whether everything had been initiated through Florian Hummel. So what I just wanted to say basically is I know that the curriculum between IIBH and IIHM is very similar when it comes to the bachelor's. So I guess from my side, I'm really excited to have all of you guys here. Really, as I mentioned before, we're extremely excited to have students coming from institutes, especially such as IIHM, which is, very renowned, because you do, when coming to campus, help our reputation. You help our other, students studying there. You guys are really the students that we love to, have bringing these different experiences, especially, coming to know that your campuses are all over India, Bangalore. Actually, my question is, what cities are your campuses based in? So you have Kolkata, Bangalore.
Yes, so I'm in Kolkata at the moment. It's Kolkata, of course, and then we have campuses in Pune, in Bangalore. So we have in the south, we have in Bangalore and Hyderabad. On to the west of the country, we have campuses in Pune, Jaipur, and Ahmedabad, which is in Gujarat. We have campuses there, and we of course have Delhi as a campus also. We also have a campus in Thailand, in Bangkok.
Oh wow, you guys really are everywhere. That's amazing.
Right, so we have students from everywhere over here, which is why I wanted to share the presentation with everybody. And of course, one of the biggest concerns was that, should, even if they enroll in October, as you said, your semester begins in October. In case there are online classes and students, therefore, what is the next semester that they can enroll for, which is the next intake, would be in the month of March?
Right, so this is the thing about the online classes. As I mentioned before, when the students take these online classes, they don't have to wait until the next semester to come. So these classes, we do them over virtual classrooms. It's really the exact same thing as the same classroom. So basically, there's a camera in the classrooms. The students who attend virtually will be, virtually in the classroom with the other students that are on campus. And the student will take these online classes until they receive their visa. So say a student receives their visa on November 17th, they miss, the October start date. However, they receive their visa on October 17th, they can book a flight to Germany for October 18th and already sit in the classrooms on campus on October 9th or November 19th. So again, they don't have to wait for the next intake. They can join in the middle of the intake. So again, this is a good option for you guys because we don't know when the embassy will reopen possibly. So you can always start with the online classes and just come whenever it's impossible for you guys.
When do they pay? The admission fees would be paid?
Correct.
Which is before the visa? How does that work?
Exactly. So the student would then pay the first semester admission fees. However, there is a deduction of costs here. So of course you guys would not have to pay for the transportation ticket or the extra services that you wouldn't be able to take advantage of because you're not on campus. In general, as I mentioned before, as long as you're doing these online classes, it's just the specific pure first semester tuition fees. That's it.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you very much. Perfect. Thank you so very much for your time and for the detailed presentation here.
Of course, not at all. Thank you guys so much.
Team, in fact, who's here.
No, thank you guys. Like I said, thank you for taking time out of your day. Shukriya, dhanyavad, nani. This is really my favorite part of my job, really, is talking with the students and with you guys. I get to, meet so many interesting people, and I hope to see you soon. Now that I know that you have campuses everywhere, I'm actually planning a vacation to India. I really, really hope that I can go in September, and Jaipur is actually one of the cities on the list, so maybe I could stop by the Jaipur campus. So again, dhanyavad, shukriya, nani. Thank you guys so much.
It's a colorful part of India, really, Rajasthan.
Yeah, exactly. Jaisalmer is also on the list, so I heard Rajasthan is probably one of the nicest areas. Jammu and Kashmir should also be extremely, extremely beautiful. So I'm excited for this.
Great, thank you very much, and yes.
Thank you guys.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you everybody who joined us here today. Thank you, Shrutika. We'll be in touch, of course. Michael will also be in touch. Thank you, Antara, for arranging this for us. Antara is here, she's arranged this entire thing. And thank you all the directors and the students for joining us here today. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. And so we are signing out of the IIHM Kolkata studio.